Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, June 4th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Ball State game in 93 days, the game against Michigan in 181 days. We are sponsored today by Jeff Ruby's of Columbus, the award-winning upscale steakhouse in downtown Columbus. Named one of the top 50 steakhouses in America by Food Network. Just go to jeffruby.com/Columbus or scan that convenient QR code on your screen right now to check out the menu and make a reservation today. All right, on today's show, we're talking to Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeInsiders.com. Tony, there is sort of this persistent story, and the update is, well, there isn't technically an update yet, but there could be an update soon, and there's sort of hints that there may be an update soon, and this conversation could go from theoretical to actual, but we're going to have it as a little bit of a theoretical conversation first, and we're talking about Chaz Coleman, second-year edge rusher at the University of Tennessee, at least for now. This has been a kind of a weird conversation, a weird situation altogether. There were rumors, there was a report at one point, like a week ago, that, oh, he's gone, he's off the team. And no, he's not off the team, at least yet, but he's also not participating in team workouts. So he's in this like weird in-between place right now as a Tennessee Volunteer.
Yeah, and we've heard similar stories over the years where guys are away from the team, and so somebody will frame that as he's left the team. And there's a difference between no longer being on the team, being away from the team. And if he's away from the team, that doesn't mean he's gone. It just means that right now other things are taking priority. And so that's kind of where things stand in terms of what's going on. As far as from what I could tell, it's just right now, if all that's going on are summer workouts, and not that that's a small thing, if he's not with the team, I don't think this is something that would eliminate him from being with the team at any point, because you come in whenever a semester starts, or they've got these small semesters, these middle semester type things. It is certainly, we're all watching it, and it's hoping for the best for the kid, but overall, we're all just kind of waiting for a final answer, or the next step, I guess would be the right way to say it.
Yeah, he's not with the team, but he's also not on the team. He's not on. So it's kind of a confusing thing. This is one of these times of years where these are probably technically optional workouts, probably, but optional maybe has some air quotes around it to a certain degree. So yeah, so right now he is still with the University of Tennessee. But just to remind people who we're talking about, he is a Northeast Ohio native. Played his true freshman season last year at Penn State for defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, and was, there was some promise, there was some flash there. He played a little bit. The stats were not knock you over, but he played enough as a true freshman that it was kind of like, okay, there's something there. And I know you and I did a show about him when he entered the transfer portal and talked about him as a potential target for Ohio State, and it was sort of, it's intriguing, but it's not proven by any means. And I think, I don't know that my opinion on him has changed meaningfully since then, where it's just, yeah, this is an intriguing prospect, but you're not, this is also not by any means a sure thing.
No, and the numbers haven't changed since we did the show after he entered the transfer portal, where it's 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, a couple of fumble returns, where there were some flashes, but you want to see more. And the way that he was portrayed as basically one of the top edge portal players was a little alarming based on his limited playing time. He's got a interesting frame. He's still adding weight, but I don't think at the time either one of us said that, boy, this is a guy you've got to go get. You can't miss. Now, he's an Ohio kid with talent, so yeah, if he's available, you try to get him. And obviously, Tennessee won the sweepstakes there, but clearly, I don't know what they've won.
And now the question is, what's next? And if he stays with Tennessee, obviously that answers the question, and the conversation is over, at least until the transfer portal potentially opens up after the season. If he doesn't stay with Tennessee, then I think there's a whole separate conversation about, okay, does he get released from his NIL, and does he, is he really truly a free agent, and what does that look like? that is a whole messy, complicated situation, and there's a lot of variables there. So I don't think we can, intelligently dissect that whole situation right now. I'm more interested in the answer to this question. Should Ohio State, if he is available, if it is an option to add him for this year, and you're not going to run afoul of the secret backdoor transfer portal rule and all that, if the NCAA is okay with it, if Tennessee's okay with it, as Chaz Coleman's okay with it, is this someone that Ohio State should pursue? And if so, are there any sort of guardrails that you'd put around that, or any sort of yes buts around that?
I think that comes through the vetting process in terms of you probably don't bring in somebody that you need guardrails for. I think one interesting aspect of this is if it's better for him to be closer to home for his sake, like that's the most important thing. We would agree. Just get right, whatever you need, get that. If he can get that at Ohio State better than he can Penn State or Tennessee, and that's something that they're looking for, I think Ohio State can provide that. I think there's that ability to mesh everything together. I don't think you're going to bring in somebody and say, we need to see this. We need, like, you're putting parameters on stuff. Like, everybody has rules and regulations that they need to go by. And I don't know that they would want to bring in somebody that has additional rules and regulations because you're not sure about them. The key about the transfer portal is being sure about somebody. Now, he's a little bit different in that he's young and he's local-ish in state. So I think maybe you could take a bigger swing or bigger risk. But because we have seen, like, this is sort of related, not really, but like Vashawn Washington, a transfer offensive lineman who isn't expected to play this year, young. So, like, there is a history of bringing in transfers that you don't expect to play. And they did it last year with, offensive lineman from West Virginia. So in that way, you could be like, yeah, come aboard, get right. We'll be here. The team will be here when you're ready. Football will be here when you're ready, but get right. So in that way, maybe Ohio State could invest in both his future and theirs. And I would also say, I don't think you can ever have enough defensive linemen. So I think there's a lot to work with there, provided he's where he needs to be mentally, emotionally, all of that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of upfront conversations that you need to have, like you said, and there's a lot, and they do a really, really good job with that. The caliber of not just player, but individuals that they have in the program right now is as high as it has ever been in the time that I've been around the program, and that has been a while. And so, I think they do a very good job vetting that, and I think there's programs that have done a good job of sorting out the just there for the paycheck versus the sort of maybe taking more of a holistic approach and more of a big picture approach kind of thing. I think Ohio State scored relatively well on that front as well. The last time he was in the portal when after he left Penn State, I think that the NIL piece of this was a pretty significant part of that decision from all indications. So if you're coming to Ohio State now, and again, let's just reiterate, still part of Tennessee's program. This is just a theoretical conversation. But if he were to go, to become available now, to get him to come to Ohio State, I think you're probably having the you got to come earn it conversation. That this is not like, okay, remember what we said we would give you back in December or January? Yeah, same offer. Like I don't think that's the conversation. I think the answer is we want to help you. We think you can benefit from being here. We think we can benefit from having you on our roster, but it's a little bit of show me probably before there's a lot of before you get to okay, and now you're back to the same kind of conversations you were having before.
Yep, I would agree.
All right, so there you go. Should they go after Chaz Coleman? Well, ask again once he's in the transfer portal. We'll have plenty more to talk about. Will he actually go in the transfer portal? He probably isn't technically in the transfer portal. It's a kind of complicated situation, a little bit of Tony, in the ever evolving world of college football, this may be a largely without precedent situation. So we'll all get to find out exactly the specifics of it together. And when we do figure that out, if he does end up leaving Tennessee. We'll see whether Ohio State does pursue him. And if so, how that all goes. And we will be talking about that with you at BuckeyeInsiders.com, YouTube.com/@BuckeyeInsiders. If you're watching this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell and then set that to all so that you get notified when we post new videos. We'll probably start doing some live shows pretty soon. Next week, we've got the start of Ohio State summer camps for high school prospects. We're going to have a lot of recruiting talk coming up then. There's going to be a lot to talk about. We'll be talking about it with you at BuckeyeInsiders.com eventually, but YouTube.com/@BuckeyeInsiders right now. And of course, on all your podcast platforms of choice, you can find Buckeye Weekly Podcast. You can find the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning Podcast. Tony and Juck have a new show coming out. That'll be out in probably the next 24 hours or so. We'll be talking about that as well. So make sure you enjoy all those. And also make sure you enjoy Jeff Ruby's of Columbus, proudly offering nationally acclaimed USDA prime steaks, seafood and sushi, impeccable service, live entertainment, and an attention to detail that is simply unmatched. Just go to jeffruby.com/Columbus to check out the menu and make a reservation today. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.